Hello. What is happening? I'm sure this is weird for a lot of people. Welcome to Playhouse Live. This is the weekly podcast that we do here for all the gaming news. I am not Finn. I am John, and I'm going to be your host this week. And making his Playhouse debut is Tim. Tim, what's going on, man?
Nothing much outside of just some really interesting news this week.
Oh yeah, like that is. I will say it. It's a little bit slower than it was the last couple of weeks, so we don't have to go worry about pre-orders or anything crazy like that. But news-wise, it was a more interesting week, and not just I couldn't get something or I wasn't able to go ahead and like pre-order my game. But before we start, let's go ahead and introduce everyone to you, Tim. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your favorite game of all time?
Favorite game of all time, probably Jack and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy on the PS2.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh.
but about me, I'm like a hardcore action game player.
Hmm.
Um, so if it's a game that involves dodging, parrying, and just generally trying to kill something while not getting killed by tons of bogus attacks,
Yeah,
that's where you'll find me.
nice. Very, very good. You are our resident fighter
Yeah.
one as well. Fighter game player. How do you want to say that? Actually, we haven't really quite figured that one out.
It's just fighting game player.
Fighting game player. All right, cool. So yeah, like you said, we have some stuff to talk about, and you know what? Let's just jump right into it with our first one, talking about Insomnia Games just jumping and giving us a new Peter Parker for the remastered edition of the PlayStation 5 version of Spider-Man.
So
What?
one, I did not know that this was as controversial as it apparently was.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, you changed. Cool.
Cool. Yeah,
We're done here.
exactly. We're like, all right, whatever." But yeah, this one was whoa, this like set Twitter on fire.
Yeah, like I'm surprised that Somniac officials had to make statements
Mhm.
regarding changing a character's appearance.
Okay, and
Um,
I actually have that statement too. That's kinda nice. So
yeah,
let's go ahead and say this. Today's news oh, wait, hold on. Let me make sure I've got this right. This is from Brian Entar. I hope
Intar.
Entar, I said that right. Creative director at Insomniac. So here's what he said. Today's news about the new Peter Parker face model has surprised some of you, and we at Insomniac totally understand your reaction. Heck, it even took me a while to get used to Peter's new look. But as we discussed the franchise's future and moving to the PlayStation 5, it quickly became apparent that delivering even more believable looking characters made finding a better facial match for actor Yuri Lowenthal, who we love as Peter, a necessity. We care as much about the character as your attachment to him. So please know we didn't make this decision change lightly. As we did throughout the development of Marvel Spider-Man, we'll continue to read your comments, listen, and always be looking for ways to improve your facet of the game. At the same time, I hope you can trust us that our decision is what we feel is best for the future of the franchise and our upcoming goals for this beloved Marvel character. Thoughts?
So I don't disagree with this.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe the better facial match for Yuri Lowenthal. It makes sense,
Uh-huh.
but am I the only one that think he looks strikingly more like Tom Holland?
No, 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 no. I'm 100% with you. What's funny too is the best meme I saw about this is like someone saying, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker," and you're watching the Disney Channel, and that was something I absolutely freaking loved. And what we have right now, I actually put it up on screen. The
Mhm.
differences between the two, like you see Tom Holland and the original PlayStation 4 uh, Spider-Man or Peter.
Who
My
looks a lot more like Andrew Garfield.
Yes. Yes, I'm with you on that. It really, like, blows my mind on this one because I was like, "Wait, why why?" Because for me, personally for me, I like the right one just a little bit better, mainly because it's one of those things. He looks like he is 28.
Yeah,
So, and that's what I liked about it. Oh, wait, no, 20, what was it, 25, I believe?
I can double check that real quick.
So, and for everyone watching the
See.
video right now, I actually thank you,
Yeah,
IGN.
so
They
he's
have
23.
23. Okay, that helps me a little bit. So I do like what IGN put out, and that's what we're showing right now is the difference between the original and the PlayStation 5 update, where we can see interaction between Doc Ock and Peter. I thought he was 25, so I'm going to change it a little bit because the PlayStation 4 version, he looks a little weathered. Like I actually like
Yeah.
that about that Spider-Man. And with Tom Holland, 18-year-old Peter, 17-year-old Peter, I just he doesn't he does look 23, but he looks on the young end of 23. So I'm just kind of like
So
what?
Keith, I was talking to Keith about this earlier,
Mm,
and Keith brought up a good point. It does make sense, being that if I remember correctly, Peter does have a not necessarily like a Wolverine level healing factor, but I think he does have higher base regenerative properties than a normal human being.
okay. See, we could have led with that insomnia. I mean, that's fine because that actually kind of changes right now perspective on that because it is weird, but I guess you've got a point. Like if he is younger or if his like you said Wolverine being able to actually like do that, then it makes a lot more sense why he still looks like a child at 23 and he's gone through uh Kingpin and stuff like that where I like the weathered look. I mean, Logan was fantastic, so I kind of liked seeing Hugh Jackman grizzled and whatnot. So seeing Peter that
Yeah.
way was kind of nice. And then my next thought behind this is what about when you meet Miles? Like, how is that interaction going to work? Because to me, it really looks like they're just the
They're
same
almost the same age.
the same age, yeah. And I don't know Miles Morales as much. I will fully admit to that. But
Though we
from
do know in this game that he's like a high school student.
okay, that is a good point. Okay, so we've got college student, high school student. That does make a little more sense, but I wonder if they're going I don't remember. Do you know if they maybe changed the model or adapted the model for Miles as well? Because do we know how far into the future or split Miles Morales is? Like, where is that on the timeline of Spider-Man comparative
I
to?
think it's pretty soon after,
Okay,
honestly. Like, I think they've given us a time frame,
okay,
and I don't think it's a several years later kind of situation. I think it's
just a couple.
pretty close after.
Okay, yeah, it's something I'm gonna get used to because I really fell in love with old Peter, but like I said, it's just now that you say Andrew Garfield, I cannot stop looking at him and just seeing Andrew Garfield. It's
That
pretty
is
good.
that is my entire family when they see either this Spider-Man or Andrew Garfield talking about my brother, because my brother looks strikingly like either of them.
Really? That's so
Yes.
you have Spider-Mans. So you have Spider-Mans in the family.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, which one do you think looks closer to me age-wise?
Okay, wait, I gotta look over on this screen now. PS5, Peter.
Okay, because I'm 23.
You're 20. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're 23. I'm like, you're closer to PS5, Peter. And I guess I'm going to go with I look closer to I wish I looked a little bit closer to PS4 Peter. I'm still 10 years older than PS4 Peter.
I mean, you're not looking bad.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it a lot. Okay, quick question on this one though. And this happened at just a discussion with some friends. Do you consider this a remake or is this a port? Because that nothing nothing bad got like going in discords I'm in, and then people are like, no, I think it's a port. No, I think it's a remake. So what is your take on this? I'd like to know.
I'm gonna hit that middle ground. It's a remaster.
Remaster?
Yeah,
I'm good with
because
that.
they are putting in new models, new textures,
Okay.
changing the way like the loading of objects occurs.
Mhm.
I do like that they're giving the same option that Demon Souls is, and I hope this is a running theme with PS5 games
Okay.
where they're giving you the option for graphics or frame rate.
I like that a lot
Because
actually.
seeing this game, because they put out that video of this game running at 60,
Mhm.
that was beautiful. Like there's it's hmm, because it's interesting. There's a lot of games where I would say you would not notice the change as much. For a game like this, where it's as fast paced as it is, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with that. Because I had to figure out where you stand. I'm actually kind of with you on that one, and it's kind of nice because I jumped into that PlayStation blog from James Stevenson at Insomniac, and it's let's talk
Mhm.
about graphical updates. The team has done the painstaking work of updating the city's environments to take advantage of the new console. Beyond improved models and materials, one of the biggest things we have brought to the game is ray traced reflections and ambient shadows. We now have the true reflection of the windows of buildings, and it looks stunning with all our new skies and weather. Which kudos to you. I'm with you. I think remaster. I think they took a little bit of A and built it up and redid a lot of stuff. B, obviously with Peter's face, which is probably the main thing on that one. But I are you excited? Because we're getting it day one.
Yeah, so I am gonna have to play through it twice now because I never got to finish Ultimate
Okay.
on PS4.
Mhm.
So I have to play through it again to unlock Ultimate difficulty.
Okay.
Then I have to play through it on Ultimate. So I'll probably do my lower difficulty playthrough in 4K
Okay. Ooh,
or whatever the highest graphical it can do.
yeah.
But then Ultimate, since that's a harder difficulty, I'll probably dial it back to performance mode so that I can be
Really.
completely on A game.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm with you on that one. Do we know? And I don't mean to throw the bus under you under the bus, but do we know? Are we getting all the DLC with it too? I just thought of that one right now.
I am pretty sure we are
Yeah, I would assume we would
because
be.
I think it's a complete edition.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing is you're just paying $70 for it and Miles Morales,
Yeah.
which isn't that bad. I wish we didn't have to pay for it if we had it on PS4, but
Yeah.
I
That's where I'm at.
wasn't not expecting it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was like, all right, and it's very interesting how Sony's doing this too. Just what is you get the upgraded version if you have the PS4, which I don't think we have very much minus the PlayStation Plus collection, and then everything else you have to pay for. So it's weird. I'm with you. I wish we didn't have to, especially with what Xbox is doing. But good developers, I want them to get paid. I mean, that's kind of where I stand on that
Yeah.
one. So
One of the few games that's actually doing there's two games I know of off the top of my head right now
mhm.
that are doing free upgrades, and that's Cyberpunk and Borderlands.
Yes,
I was
which
surprised to hear that Gearbox was doing that.
yeah, I was too. I was like, wait, really? You guys, the looter shooter experts? Okay, you know what? I'm down with that. That's fine.
and and they're like adding in 3 and 4 player split screen again too.
That's
Like they're adding some good stuff into it.
that's gonna be the fun part after all this is said and done with the pandemic. Like, do you want friends over to split screen with you, or have you like, are you done with that one? God, I'm that one.
I'm down with it,
Uh huh. So yeah,
and
I'm with
I
you.
think I think that's actually one of the best uses you could have for 8K
Hmm.
because and not that the game's going to run in 8K, but or well I guess 4K would be fine too.
Yeah,
If you're running 4K, you get 4 1080p screens.
yeah. Actually, yeah, 100% correct. That's a good point.
So,
That-
I
yeah.
cuz what is it? Is it 480 that you're getting per screen at 1080p at that rate?
Yes, it's something very, very close to 40. I'm pretty sure integer wise, it should be 480. I hope it's not 360, is it? I think it's 480. I think you're right.
Yeah, it
So
might be 360.
but yeah, that's a good point. I keep on forgetting the integer concept when it comes to scaling to 4K is that you do get
Yeah.
a 1080p screen. So yeah, that'd be great. I can't wait to actually try that one out. So or any of that stuff.
And
I
also
mm,
with the ray tracing, I need to look at footage to see if I can notice it in Windows and whatnot now. Because Maximilian Dude, and I agree with what he says about it.
mhm.
Most of the time when you're looking at ray tracing, you're looking at the floor.
Yeah.
You're looking for puddles.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you said that. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. When I'm looking for stuff like that, it's all the floor minus the couple times I've seen like the Minecraft ray tracing one because they really push the light particles and stuff like that. But no, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm really, really just looking at the floor, going, where's that puddle at? And I love that you brought up puddles with Spider-Man, and we're gonna have a Puddlegate
Yeah.
Ultimate Edition or something like that.
And so I really do need to look back through footage and take a peek at Windows to see if they showed that off at all.
Mhm. Oh,
Because it might be one of those things where we just didn't notice it because it feels so natural,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
trippy to think that we're getting to that point.
yeah, we're there and we're like, "Oh yeah, this is it's right," and it's not as, like, jarring as it used to be, or then we got to the point where I like the idea of water where we can really tell what's going on because water is obviously one of the hardest things to animate, and then if you get light reflecting off of it just right, and your mind just goes, "Oh, that's normal," because it's in the real
Yeah.
world, that's when we've hit that pinnacle point of, I don't know where we can go up, or I don't know how we can go up from there.
Yeah. Realistically rendered water is like, I always tell people that's my benchmark.
Mhm.
Show me your water. If you want to talk about graphics, show me your water.
100% agree. 100% agree. All right, Tim. Actually, Finn and I talked about it last week, or we kind of wish we could have you guys, you, Keith, Rose, call in with your expertise. I am
Mhm.
so happy that it's you and I this week, though, mainly because Smash got a new character for the DLC Fighters Round 2, and it's Steve and Alex from Minecraft. And Tim is off.
Yeah. So first off, I'm not going to say that I'm happy with this, and this is where your opinion still like really matters because it's definitely a controversial character
Mhm.
right now, just as far as like what people would have wanted for a game like Smash. Um, I think there were a lot of people that were genuinely hoping the leaks that said Crash Bandicoot were
Mhm.
accurate, but it's still an interesting decision, even if I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that it means, because even though I view it more as he's in there because he's popular, this is technically a second Microsoft representative now because we have Banjo and we have Steve. So we now have two representatives from Microsoft as compared to, at this point, I would say one from Sony, which would be
Yeah.
Joker.
That's
Um,
Ooh, that's a good point.
yeah. So, well, I don't know if I would count Cloud. Cloud might technically count as a Sony representative still.
Yeah, I'll lean, like, if we're gonna split hairs, yeah, or even that, I would say Cloud is more Sonic's. I mean, Final Fantasy is just so, when you think of that game, it's Sony connected, and especially with 16
Yeah.
being a Sony exclusive. So yeah, I would say
And 7 Remake was too.
7 remake too. So yeah, we've got Cloud and Joker on the Sony side. We've got like
And then Banjo and Steve.
Yeah, so we're split pretty well on that one. So uh I don't I
Yeah.
like it. I'm with you. Like it's just kind of there. And first off, I'm very happy Crash was not announced because I'm very scared of the bet that I have with Finn. I just don't want that, but I'll do it because I am a man of my word. But two, I want Crash in there because I want to see Finn cry because you know he would. Let's be honest, we know he would just lose it, and just the love of
Yeah.
that would be great, and I would actually really love that idea behind it. But I do, like, I know as of us recording soccer, I did like a live stream with what was going on and how Steve and Alex actually work. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, so I'll go back. But I do have a little write up from GameSpot, which is very nice. And the one that caught me, the one that actually caught me through this whole thing is, just like in Minecraft, you can upgrade your weapon to increase. Oh, sorry. Just like in Minecraft, you can upgrade your weapon to increase them from wood to iron and even to diamond. They can break too, leaving you without some of your attacks. You can craft using resources gathered within the grounds and walls, and these differ depending on the surfaces unless you're playing on a battlefield or Omega stage. On the Minecraft specific stages, you'll find the same resources located on the same spots on the ground, regardless of the biome you're playing in. Even if they are snow, you'll find stone and wood to harvest and use for your weapons and gear. Show of hands who
So,
think Masahiro Sakurai is absolutely insane and he needs to go to sleep for a little bit because I that blows my mind.
have you have you not heard like the stories of him coming into work with IVs?
No, go on, please. We're like, what?
Yeah, no, Sakurai is I mean, and it's not just Sakurai, it's
Yeah.
Japanese work culture as a whole. But yeah, no, it's insane. Like I think it's both Sakurai and then Yoshida from Square Enix, the
Uh-huh.
guy who has been the director for Final Fantasy 14 and is now directing 16.
Okay.
Yeah, that dude, like,
No.
I think Keith told me the picture after every expansion release
Uh-huh.
for Final Fantasy 14 has just been Yoshida passed out on the floor with like a Red Bull or some other energy drink in his hand.
Jesus. That's insane. Like I fully respect that. But that is insane to me. And oh, I'm seeing over in chat too, real fast, both Rose and Pretty Bookworm. I agree. We've got Sega as well. So we've got Sonic and Bayonetta. So I mean, this
Yeah,
really is just
true.
Smash just coming together. The best place to play all your games. Bandai Namco has Pac-Man. I think Bandai Namco still has Pac-Man. Uh, but it's insane what Sakurai's done, what Nintendo, the power of Nintendo actually like brings these people together and just go nuts. And it's
And
still very respectful.
part of it I would say is also as much as it might be kind of throwing shade at the other two, I
Mhm.
don't think Nintendo views them as competition,
No, I don't think so at all. I actually 100% with you on that
which
one.
is why they can do this.
Yeah, they're just like, come play. Because it's literally we've and especially now with the new next gen coming out, we've see one track which is Sony and Microsoft, and then Nintendo's over here, and they've been doing that since what GameCube. The Wii was pretty much where they like planted the flag. And were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're gonna do our own crazy thing, and people are gonna enjoy it. And so far, they have. Minus
Yeah.
I mean, little things here and there, but I actually 100% agree with you. I think that's what makes it so easy for Sony, Square, Microsoft to go. As long as it's respectful, and I think it has been, then go ahead and
Oh
use our
yeah.
characters. Like to be able to pull off what he's pulled off is absolutely insane to me. With talking about Sakurai and just the whole development team for this, I don't know how he does it, and I'm gonna ask you this one because I'm very limited in my fighting game knowledge. The
Mhm.
balancing act between fighters. Let me know about that one. I just let me know what you know
So
about that.
it's impossible. Like at least at the extent that Smash has done this, it's
Mhm.
downright impossible to have a balanced game.
Yeah.
Um, but to be fair, some of the most classic and successful fighting games
Mhm.
are like completely lacking perfect balance.
True.
You look at like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike,
Mhm.
a game completely dominated by Chun-Li.
Yeah.
You look back at like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think it was like Sentinel and Storm, and I can't remember who else.
Oh, yeah, that's I forgot about that, man.
And then Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's like entirely dominated by Virgil from Devil May Cry,
Okay.
Phoenix. Um, I think Storm again is up there. Zero is like the most toxic character that exists in the game for the community. Um, but it's like one of those things where I think Maximilian Dude said Marvel 3 is what they would call a solved game at this point. Like there is just a definitive best team that you can play in that game.
Mhm.
And what makes the game so interesting is all of the people that find ways to deal with it.
Okay. That
Like there was one dude who got good enough with Spider-Man on that game to the point where he would take out a character and
Mhm.
then as the next character was jumping in, he would use like a web throw attack that would catch them out of their jump in animation and then slam them onto the ground. Like there's just different tools that everyone has and it's just making the most of it that shows who you are and how good you are as a player.
Okay. I fully respect that. I would get my ass handed to me. But I fully respect that because that and I agree with you. That's the nice part about watching these fighting games of like, why is he fighting with that person? And then you just see him like, oh, because he figured it out and he's got the skill to understand the other fighters and what they're going to do. I think that that's the most interesting thing when I do watch some of the Evo and stuff like that, just to get an idea of like who's that underdog and who's going to come like out of nowhere and actually do something crazy like with the
Yeah,
Spider-Man thing.
like Evo Japan was won by for Street Fighter 5 was won by a guy playing Sakura,
Hmm.
who I have played Sakura almost since she released on Street Fighter 5, and I have had most people have had very little success with her across the board just because you're better off playing Ryu, Ken,
Okay.
Akuma, because they're all in the same character archetype.
Okay. Gotcha.
And Sakura's just like got the wrong variations on her moves. Like
Interesting.
everyone who's like played a good amount of Street Fighter knows the old game of like throw a fireball, throw
Hmm.
a fireball. Did they jump over? Uppercut. Um and Sakura's uppercut travels
Oh.
before she actually does the uppercut part. So if you try to do an uppercut while they're jumping in, you go past them and then they land and they can turn around and smack you out of the air.
Oh. Okay.
So
Okay.
she's not great, but a dude figured it out.
That's freaking awesome. I love that. Okay. So I have to ask you now, who do you think is going to be the next character announced for Smash? We've got two, and there's another round of five. So we've got three more in this DLC pack. Who do you think, and or who do you want as a next announcement?
So I think it would be really interesting
Hmm.
to see the man who is the reason we have Bayonetta come into the game,
Hmm.
which is Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yes, actually
I
freaking love that idea.
the idea of the toolkit that he has
Hmm.
is super applicable to Smash for a wide variety of attacks and styles of fighting.
Okay.
Um, but then past him, I'm trying to think of anyone that I specifically want because I don't know that I would want to see like Master Chief,
N- Yeah,
just because I don't know how they could do that without inventing moves for him.
I actually agree with you on that one too, because I hear a lot of people like Master Chief's next, or we want Master Chief, and I'm like, what is it? Would his move set be? Like, it would be inventing moves for him, like you said. And I was just like, I don't know if that would look right. I mean, if
The
Papa Phil
closest
gives it, that's
analog,
fine.
the closest analog you could get to it is Doom Guy. I think of the two, Doom Guy would be
Fit more, better,
far
fit better.
more applicable.
Yeah. No, I actually that yeah, because you at least with Doom Guy get a little more of that feel of I don't want to say but the physical attacks
Yeah,
than Master Chief was. I know he does have the like gun butt slap, but that's about it. Like there's
yeah.
actually no punch or anything like that. So yeah, Doom Guy makes a lot more sense. I love Dante. I think that is a great idea because especially I for some odd reason I like the idea of like negatives of each other or positive negative. So it's like Bayonetta and Dante. That's just a fight I want to watch. Uh, I want Sora. I do. I think Sora from Kingdom Hearts would be great. Smash.
It it could be
Crash.
really interesting.
Mhm.
The community has actually put him in because I don't know if you would remember this at all. There was the Super Smash Flash games
I don't
that were
remember
like
that.
they were like Newgrounds Flash games of
Okay.
Smash with like just characters that people wanted to see in the games.
Mhm.
So that had like Sora, that had Goku, that had like Lloyd from the Tales of Symphonia games,
Oh wow,
like
callback on that one.
it
Nice.
had it had like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails in it,
Uh-huh.
like, and this was all before Brawl. So just kind of like, oh,
Let me put those
we're
people in
like
there.
seeing some of these characters come in.
Yeah. Mm. I've already said I want Smash. I want Crash. I keep on saying Crash. I want Crash for Finn, and I would love if Sakurai like pulled a fast one on everyone at the very last one and just gave everyone Waluigi because people want Waluigi. I just wanted to like the setup is the whole thing. If we think it's gonna be someone else, like a Pianta or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's Wario. And I think that's how we should end it, and then never touch Smash again until like a year from now. And they're like, oh yeah, we've been working on this for a while. Sakurai doesn't sleep. We think he's a vampire. I'm not sure. And they just keep on going with it. And we're like, okay, well, it's called Ultimate, so that's fine. I'm not 100% sure I'd want that, but Sakurai, please sleep. Us at Playhouse
Well,
are
and
very nervous for you.
I have to check something
Okay.
too, regarding Sakurai,
Okay.
because okay, I think we're safe on this because you have to remember that Sakurai is the Kirby guy.
Yes.
So I got super worried for a sec because I know they've still been coming out with Kirby games, so I had to just go and double check who has been working on these games,
Okay.
and it looks like it has not been Sakurai that's been directing them.
Good. Thank you, Sakurai. That would have been awful. I would have felt bad. Like, oh yeah, Kirby Fighters came out, so he did a Kirby fighting game, and has been doing Smash
Which is
at the same
Smash.
time. Which is Smash. So like, okay, dude, come on now. We can pump the brakes just a little bit. I love the work effort, the work ethic, but you gotta rest, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
And he says it every broadcast too. Just like, I never get a break. Every single broadcast.
I really, really want someone, and I'm sure someone has, but I want to see a smash cut of every single time he's been on like one of the directs or anything like that, and just you just watch the time just go through, and you just see him just like he's starting to get tired and just like I don't sleep, and he's always like chipper about it. That's the worst part and the best part, because you know he loves what he does, but I just like, oh Sakurai, please man, get some sleep, buddy. Wow, just
and
5 hours.
I don't know if he looks this way to you. That man's 50.
Yeah, I had no idea. I looked it up a couple of weeks ago. Just like, how old is the guy? He looks younger than me, and about your age actually. I don't know how he does it. I'm like, you're a very good looking man and young looking, and you're 50. I hope I look that good when I'm 50.
Yeah. And so I did want to find it real quick before we forget that it was mentioned. He got like food poisoning. That's what happened, and it was during the development of Ultimate.
Yeah.
And he came into the office with an IV drip and kept working.
Now you said that like the food poisoning triggered everything. That's right. Like he was just there, and I have food poisoning. I'm calling in. I'm sorry. I'm vomiting everywhere. I don't care. Sorry. But no, Masahiro Sakurai, he's going to get food poisoning from some bad sushi, and he's still going to go work on Smash. We should all be that. I don't know what to say about that one. I'm just going to let that go.
He should say what Harada from the Tekken team says. Don't ask me for shit ever again.
I agree with. I love that meme that goes around every single time. I gave you this. Stop asking me for anything. Just stop. And I actually 100% agree with that. I think we need to stop. I think he's given us more than we can handle. All right. So I know we both know, and everyone here, Finn is not here this week. He's taking care of some stuff, but of course he still wants to add some stuff into the show. And I'm like, and I love our Discord. We're like, he's like, here, I don't know if this actually can be anything, but it's kind of insane to me. And I was able to actually like make it into something because we found out a lot of stuff about the Xbox Series S and X. But first, let's talk about how Call of Duty Modern Warfare no longer fits onto a 250 gigabyte solid state drive. Ouch. Like, you got to be dedicated.
Go ahead. I have a feeling this is like entirely a matter of bad optimization, like in terms of compression and memory.
Yeah.
I think this is just them not working efficiently.
I 100% agree with that. But how this transfers over to the Xbox Series S and X is something I was hoping that was actually going to happen, and it's 100% true. We can now choose what we want to download within the game itself. So if you're not one of those people who want to play the single player campaign, you delete the single player campaign. You get to keep the multiplayer. If you're like me and don't really do multiplayer too often, delete the multiplayer version of the game. You can now have selective uninstall choices on your Xbox Series S and X. And this actually came from Major Nelson. And where did it go? I just had it. Give me a second.
Well, and it's funny that Xbox is the one doing this
Mhm.
because they've already done it. Because the Master Chief Collection did
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing.
Yep, you're right. Okay, this was Jason Rowland from the Xbox team. Xbox's director of program management, Jason Rowland. Even beyond the hardware, we've actually made user interface improvements to make it easier for you to manage your storage. As an example, one of the new features that we're adding is actually for if the title chooses to support it. There's the kicker: the ability to selectively uninstall different components of the game. And this also, because we've all talked about this, is like if you got the Series X version, you're going to get the Series X version, or if you have a Series X, you can get the Series X version assets because the Series X can
Mhm.
go in 4K while the S can only go 1440p. And we all know 4K assets are killer. They're huge, all that fun stuff, unless compression's right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tim.
So I think just case in point of how massive 4K
Mhm.
is if you download Final Fantasy 15 on PC,
Okay.
you download that game, it's like 70 gigs for the base game. Like 70, 72 gigs, something like that.
That's normal for us now.
Right. You then go to the like DLC section and select that you want to download the 4K texture pack.
Uh-huh.
That's another 64 gigs.
Holy crap. So 130 gigs to play in 4K, which I when we're talking about Call of Duty, not that bad, I guess, when you really think about it. But it's insane to me that this next gen, we've got Xbox with the terabyte, PlayStation with 825 gigs, and that is roughly 7 to 10 games that you can have on your hard drive at a time. And that's not including the operating system from both Sony and Microsoft. I have no idea how much each one of your apps is going to have because I'm one who actually has our PlayStation hooked up and we watch Netflix, YouTube, Twitch, all that stuff. We have those little apps, so those are going to eat out a little bit of your storage. But to have the 4K, the full version of the game, because that's the reason why we're buying these games to see the magic they've made, is roughly 7 to 10 games depending on file size. And
Yeah.
I just I
And I want to drive home. So I was going to say, I want to drive home the whole optimization thing again,
sure.
too, because we look at Ghost of Tsushima.
Mhm.
How amazing does that game look?
One of my favorites, actually.
40 gigs. How great does God of War look?
Amazing.
45 gigs. Spider Man, at least according to the internet, 40 gigs, or 45 gigs, but I remember it being closer to like 70 after all was said and done.
Yeah.
But even so, like you have all of these games that are hitting that high bar for graphical fidelity,
Mhm.
and they're not clocking in at 250 gigs.
That I don't know. That blows my mind. Like how what are you giving and just I'll call it Call of Duty because that's what kind of based this whole thing off of. What are you getting from that? Like I
Like
I don't understand that one.
the most asset variation that exists in those games is in the campaign.
Yeah.
The maps aren't like a significant size.
Mm-mm.
It's a significant amount of reused textures and assets across the board.
Yeah.
Like, are they putting like 16K textures on the guns or something?
That like you can see the just everything, the dirt, like I'm with you. Like the textures have to be huge on this game for that to be just I can't even say it's justifiable to be honest with you because it's just
Yeah.
that's too much. 120 or 250 gig solid state drive, $80, $90 maybe. So
Yeah.
base game right now we're still saying 60 until we're fully into next gen, which will most likely be 70, and then another $70, $80 to put the whole game on your PC. So you're in
Yeah.
$160, $150 to play a game, which I trust me, I understand spending some money on a game. I got that. But a collector's edition makes a little more sense to me than base game with pretty textures and another 250. I got to buy a hard drive. So you literally have hard drives for like Call of Duty. I'll throw, like you said, Final Fantasy 15 in there. I know it's not that big, but still, that concept just blows my mind. And then I still go back to, I'm not going to do it since I know in Playhouse I'm the only one that bought a Series X. But part of me is itching in the back of my head, going, "Do I need to buy that expansion port like ASAP?" Like I'm actually very scared by that because I'm like, I honestly, there's not very much I'm going to be playing right off the bat. I'm going to be going through Game Pass, but when it gets to that
What
point
is
where
the what is the size on the X,
uh
by the way?
the X is a terabyte. So
Okay.
yeah, so
So
it's
higher than what the PS5 has.
yes, so it has a terabyte external on the X. I think it said 500 on the S, and that expansion port is also another terabyte. So in essence, and it's 220, I believe, $220. So in essence, you for
Yeah.
another $220, pop in a hard drive for the Xbox, which you need to do to take advantage of the fast loading times that we're seeing, the graphics and all that stuff. Because I know we were talking about this last week. You can put an external hard drive, just a normal 3.0 USB or maybe even USB-C. I think the new systems have those, but you're not going to be taking advantage of like the velocity architecture or whatever
Yeah.
Sony has on their side because it's not the actual proprietary SSD. So it's kind of one of those. Maybe I need to go ahead and buy that expansion port, and just start downloading everything and see what happens. But I'm a little nervous by this concept.
The funny thing about that is I'm actually completely ready to transfer to the new generation
Hmm.
because I keep almost exclusively only fighting games on my actual PS4's hard drive.
Okay,
Because if I decide to just take my PS4 to someone's house to play fighting games,
do there.
I can just leave behind the external with all of my single player games on it. So all of my stuff's ready and ready to
Okay.
just plug into a PS5.
Okay. Oh, I actually dig that. That's actually a really, really good idea. I've never thought of about it doing that way. I just have the external hard drives just in case. I
Mhm.
know just recently I just registered on on my X. I was downloading everything to the hard drive, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, why am I have a 4 terabyte external on this bad boy? What's going on? I switched over something and everything was going on the external or on the internal drive, and I was like, oh,
It
that
does
makes
that
sense.
automatically for
Oh, it
the
does?
PS4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you plug in an external drive, it defaults that for the memory.
Gotcha. Okay. So all we're
But
learning.
I will also say,
Mhm.
I think PlayStation 5's winning on the hard drive side of things for me right now.
Go on.
Because if I remember from Cerny's presentation, you will just be able to put more M2 drives into your PlayStation 5.
Ooh.
They'll have a list of like officially supported ones, so you make sure that you actually get something that's going to work because it is a little bit of a gamble from what I
Yeah.
remember him telling us.
Okay.
But even so, that means that right out the gate, like from the start of development,
Mhm.
PlayStation 5 has had support for third party M2 drives.
Okay. Yeah, that I've completely forgot about that. Okay, that kinda changes my concept of that one a little bit 'cause I was wondering, like, what is PlayStation going to do to kinda combat that, uh, proprietary card? And I say that on purpose, proprietary card, because that's what it is, and we all can look back at the, Vita about proprietary cards and how well that worked out. So, I mean, I understand what I'm saying being a fan of Xbox, but, yeah, I was like, what is Sony gonna do? Like, 825 gigs is a weird number. I'm sure it was for a reason, and I know
Yeah.
we're gonna get the mid-step console in about 2 to 3 years, and they're both gonna be probably 2 terabytes. That's my gamble, but I was just like,
Yeah.
"What are you gonna do to actually, like, help out those Call of Duty players that where it is 200 gigs to download the whole game with the 4K assets?" So,
Console's memory.
yeah. That's insane to me. I'm not, and that's you and I and all of us are kind of the same way. Where like it's the little intricacies that we want to know about the games and the little things within the console itself. Like what does it do to do this, or what can we do to increase something? That's where I agree with you. Like if Cerny was right because I don't remember very well. If he said that, then
I
that's
don't
pretty awesome.
like remembering his presentation.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to remember that presentation. And how are those three people out in the front still doing? I really think those were just fake people that they put there.
Hey, it's the Bethesda Woo guy.
I agree with that. I fully agree with that. All right, so, dude, do you know what's going on with Konami?
No clue.
I'm
Because so Finn, me, and Keith all just gonna put it out there. We recorded a podcast recently
sure.
about TGS.
Yeah.
And Konami was at TGS.
Mhm.
No comment about this. If you're
Really?
familiar with the anime called Fairy Tale,
Yeah.
the only thing they showed up there to talk about
Uh-huh.
was how they're making the game for that author's next manga series. They were just there to show off that game, and it was like a presentation about like the game and the anime, and like that's it. That's
That
pretty much all they showed up to talk about. Nothing about the Metal Gear re-releases, nothing about the Castlevania or Contra re-releases, nothing about Silent Hill re-releases, and they just shadow dropped all of these on GOG of all platforms.
Okay, I didn't know that at all. Like I'm sorry. Don't we want to get a little bit of hype around some of this stuff, like getting to play all the Metal Gears again? And I agree with you. What GOG? Why? Why? Oh,
So the other thing about this too is I also can understand why they wouldn't want to drum up hype,
hmm
because I think this is entirely just like they're throwing it out there to relieve complaints and for the sake of preservation.
okay, yeah.
Maybe even for the sake of just maintaining, though they shouldn't need to do this for the copyrights on the titles. Like it
hmm
might just be one of those like, we'll just
There you go.
throw that out there, just maintain this.
Yeah.
Because they're all aside from maybe Metal Gear and the Konami Collector series, these are all ports that already existed.
Okay.
They're all from like the early 2000s,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
they're all like busted as shit.
Okay. So just to catch everyone up who doesn't know what we're talking about, so Konami, like Tim said, just shadow dropped a bunch of games on GOG, and these games include Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Contra, Super C, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Substance,
The original
and
Metal,
the original Metal Gear. Yeah, that's right. I was like, I know I'm missing one somewhere. Where'd that go? Yeah, and the original Metal Gear. And
and then week, like just within the week after those shadow drops, this week they shadow drop Silent Hill 4,
I, what?
which is also a weird choice
Yeah,
because it's not the Silent Hill game.
isn't that the one on? Well, no. Okay, I remember that one being on the Wii, but now that I said that, I put the name or the picture of the cover, and that was a PlayStation 3 game, I believe.
Two.
Two? Oh Jesus.
And I remember this. Actually, I still have it somewhere in a CD case here. I still have one of those old jam pack demo discs
hmm
for the PS2, and it has Silent Hill 4 on it. Like it has the Silent Hill 4 demo on it.
Mm,
Um, but the most popular Silent Hill game is by far Silent Hill 2, which also has a PC port
yeah.
that is also great.
See,
But people probably still would have wanted that more than
one.
Silent Hill 4.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's okay. Because I picked up the Silent Hill collection, which I think was 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 3 before I knew it was absolute
Hot garbage.
Yeah, I had no idea. And I know Rose and I were like looking at to play it for a Halloween years ago, and I just let me
Why?
go ahead and dig a little bit. And they're like, "Don't ever play this," because they cleaned it up, and that was kind of the weird thing with Silent Hill, that because of the limitations of the hardware, that's what the fog made it the what was worth it. Am I right? I see that thinking face. Hold on, tell me.
So part of it, yes, is fog is not just atmospheric for that game. It is
Yes.
like a part of how it works inherently. Like
Hmm.
they they turned a hardware limitation into an atmosphere booster
Okay.
because Silent Hill 1, they physically could not render things that were as good looking any further than the distance you could see into the fog. So they played into that as
And,
part of it being a horror game.
and use that the idea of going through like the elevator scenes and stuff like that. Correct, where like
Right.
you go in the elevator, everything renders. So they use the fog, and as you move through the fog, it renders for you.
Yeah.
See that again?
And
That's fantastic. I love that.
so that's Silent Hill 1. That also
Mhm.
plays into some of the problems with Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
But if I remember correctly, the story with Silent Hill 2 and why that's so bad specifically
Mhm.
is they lost the code base.
Wait, what?
They lost the game.
Oh my god. Oh.
Um,
Oh.
other projects where this has happened recently
Mhm.
is I think it was Kingdom Hearts 1,
Really?
where they did the remakes, they had to do some extent of rebuilding the game
Okay.
because they lost the original files.
Oh my god.
Um, so yeah, I'm looking at the article here on Eurogamer from 2012, and I
Okay.
can DM it to you real quick.
Okay, yeah.
The
Oh.
Silent Hill 2 was ported from unfinished code.
Oh.
So that plays even more into why that collection was so bad.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering why, like, I mean, games happen, like, hate happens for specific games, but that one, like, just every place I went and looked, just like, What am I getting myself into? Please, for the love of God, just return this game. Don't ever play it." I was like, "Okay, you know what? When a multitude of highly recommended, like, video game websites say that, you kinda have to take pause and, like, what actually happened with this, and why is it like that?"
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what Konami's doing. I know I like them dropping, like, I have the Castlevania series on my Switch. I think that's great. I haven't picked up Contra yet. I was hoping I was actually hoping that we would get a Metal Gear series because I know we had a couple rumors, maybe it was this week, maybe it was last week, that there was actual, like, full-on remakes to, Metal Gear, which I guess got convoluted and we got the GOG versions of them, but
Yeah.
I kinda want that to happen just because I'll be honest, I played Sons of the Patriots, that on the PlayStation 2. That's the only Metal Gear I've ever played, and I do wanna go back and try the solid games and, like, do that concept of, like, starting here and going forward, and I have no idea why it was Guns of the Patriots that I played. I think a buddy of mine had it, he couldn't beat it, and I just sat down, I borrowed it, and I just was able to do it. I don't know. But I do remember having that game for a little bit and playing it with a buddy.
The fact so do you mean Sons of Liberty or Guns of the Patriots? If you're talking PS2, I assume you mean the second game, Sons of
Yes.
Liberty,
Yeah, the second game.
where you're riding
Yes.
blonde dude.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like the end of the game has you cartwheeling naked through a
Yep,
giant
yep, that's it. I was very
marine.
confused why I got there. I'm like, "Why am I naked, dude? I'm fine with it, but I'm cartwheeling, and I don't understand what's going on." I couldn't even tell you what the game was about, to be honest with you. That was 20 years ago.
So, man, um, there's a whole conversation to be had about that game and Kojima
Uh-huh.
and the surprising ways that he calls shit like tens of years before it happens.
I think that's a great idea for a show. We need to remember this one. Like, sit down and actually
Yeah,
talk about specific, like, developers or stuff like that. I like this idea. Maybe
all I
we
will say is you probably don't remember this. The end of Metal Gear Solid 2
Mhm.
is the AI telling you that it needs to control what humanity puts into the sphere of the internet, because the internet was a new concept at the time.
Yes.
And the AI was saying, you need to have something to control what humanity puts on the internet and filter it out, because otherwise they're just going to put a bunch of useless bullshit out and corrupt the flow of information.
And here we are in 2020. And hey, look at that. It was actually true. Who knew? Who freaking knew? All right. You have
He
anything else?
also had a character in Metal Gear Rising that coined the term "Make America Great Again."
I don't know what to say to that one. I'm not even going to lie to you, my friend. Not even going to lie to you. Okay. So I know we got a little bit of time left, not much. So let's talk about. I hate that the camera keeps on doing that. Let's talk about what we're playing real fast. And I know you just jumped recently into Star Wars Squadrons. We were talking about it before we went live. How are you liking it? What's going on with it?
So I made sure to play the first mission of the campaign this morning and do a few more matches in online before I came in and talked, because I just wanted even more of an impression.
Sure.
And one, there's people that are really good at that game. I'm sure there are players that are used to like flight simulators and Battlefield and Ace Combat and all these other games, and they're like somewhat ace pilots.
Mm-hmm.
But I mentioned it to you going into the show, right before we started, that that game, like getting into a cockpit in that game is the same vibe for me as like the first time you get on like Star Tours at Disneyland. And what I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing with the new like Millennium Falcon ride that
Yeah.
they put in before, and not very many people got to experience before COVID hit.
Yeah.
Um, like it is just that feeling of I am here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a Star Wars like TIE fighter or X-Wing or Y-Wing. Like this is the cockpit of that vehicle. I have my instruments in front of me. They're all functioning. They're all accurately displaying what is happening to me and my environment.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like to be a pilot in Star Wars.
See, I'm very very excited to play this game, and I was telling you I should have just picked it up. Uh, in chat, Pretty Book, we're enjoying the game. I'm probably gonna go back out and pick it up after we're done here because I love that game.
Yeah.
My introduction, and weirdly enough, not weirdly enough, one of my best memories that I have when I was a little kid is having sleepovers and playing X-Wing, and we would stay up late and just play the shit out of that game. And so I have always wanted to. I've always wanted to have another Rogue Squadron. I love those games. I've wanted another one of those because that was just near and dear to my heart. And you and I just talking about it, just I it actually sends me tingles. And I'm like, I can't wait to get into this because that was the one time when I'm like, maybe I'll join the Air Force and because fly plane because that's what I like to do in video games. So I might as well do it there. My mom shut that down, but I, I've been waiting, and I found on Facebook Marketplace a couple of years ago, someone was selling their PSVR, and it was because he would get headaches from it and he couldn't
Mhm.
play it. So I actually got it very cheap. The first thing I went and bought was Battlefield, the Star Wars Battlefield, because of that one VR mission to fly around in, and that's all I wanted. I've never played anything else. Spent $15 on that game so I could fly around in VR in an X-wing, and
Great
I
opportunity to
love
get it
that.
on PS4.
Yeah, and I probably will get it on PS4 just so I can just plug into the headset and see how long I can fly in that bad boy. I'm excited. I really can't wait to pick that up. I'm kind of kicking myself that I should have just grabbed it while I was over at Best Buy this morning.
And
Go ahead.
we talked about it in terms of like that is a 20 gig game
Mhm.
that costs $40,
40
and I'm
bucks.
going to get hours and hours of playtime out of it, just like with Tony Hawk.
I mean, that's insane. Like, especially since we were talking about just storage and whatnot. A $40 game, which we might as well kiss those goodbye. Uh, they that we will get a lot of like good time out of. Like it seems like from you, and I've never been to Disney World. I don't know the Star Wars tour or anything like that. I'm excited to
Mhm.
play this just because from your impressions of it, just real fast, it seems like the love and care was put into it, and this was Respawn, right? Or am I misremembering that?
No, who is the developer on it? Let me double check real quick. Um, but it's also funny because it harkens back to a concept that has never left like Star Wars fans
Uh-huh.
over the years. You mentioned like playing like X-Wing and whatnot as a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember like even when I was a teenager, there's still like I can't remember what car company it was that had the commercials with the kid in the Darth Vader outfit and he's like using the force to turn his dad's car on.
Volvo, I think?
I think it
I
was
think it was a
Volvo,
Volvo that did that one, yeah.
but like I immediately gravitated towards TIE interceptors in this game, which
Okay.
is what Vader is.
Yeah.
And that just feels super at home for me flying a like super fast, like hunter style ship.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy. So this was Motive Studios.
Motive. Okay, cool. I
I'm
I
trying
like
to
that
remember
they
what else they've done.
I like that at least now EA has kind of been like, just go do it. And I remember watching the stuff over the summer where they just made it and then showed it to EA. Like this was kind of a passion project for them, and they were like, "Hey, we've been doing this, and here's how far we are." And EA is like, "All right, just keep on going. That's fine." And so far, it's been doing great. It gave me 12 points in the fantasy league, so I still have that lead over Finn. He's not here, so I can talk trash on him a little bit. Maybe a 4 point lead, but I still have a lead.
Yeah, so the only other game Motive has done was Battlefront 2. That was it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so also like the fact this is an EA game,
Mm-hmm.
and like we said, it's $40 and 20 gigs,
That's
and it
amazing.
doesn't have a single microtransaction that I've seen.
Thank you, EA.
I'm not gonna
For
say it's gonna stay that way,
no, we don't
but
know, but right now, that's fine. Let just keep it that way if you can. A little bit of microtransaction stuff, I don't mind. Like, hopefully, it's not like getting a new ship. More, you want these decals. That's where I'm okay with
yeah.
microtransactions. I just if you want a specific TIE fighter, let me unlock it in the game. I don't want to buy it.
The only thing that has irritated my friend about this game
Mhm.
is the fact that he feels they did not value Red Squadron's paint job high enough.
I
It's a
absolutely love
common skin.
that. I
So
absolutely
it
love
is a
that's the complaint.
it is a common level skin, and that
Mhm.
is his like only complaint I've heard so far with the game is that it's not like an epic rarity skin.
Doing pretty good if you're going to be a little upset about a skin. Doing actually
Yeah.
really, really good then. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm going to go pick this up. I have been playing Hades.
I have not heard like I keep hearing good things about this game. I've
Uh-huh.
heard nothing about why it's good, though I know the studio is very reputable. So
Yes.
go into it.
Okay. So full disclosure, the main reason I'm going back through all of Supermassive? Yeah, it's Supermassive. No. Super Giant. Thank you, Rose.
I think it
Yeah.
okay.
Super Giant is
Because yeah,
because
Supermassive is Until Dawn.
yes, Super Giant Games is because I bought all their vinyls because they went on sale and I was like, I'll buy these, and then I'm like, let me go back and actually go through them. So I beat Bastion and then Hades, and I jumped right into Hades, and it was one of those things like I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Supergiant has this kind of formulaic way that they do their games, but they're all really good when it comes to storytelling. And with this one, it is roguelite dungeon crawling that actually makes you kind of care that actually makes you care about the characters. The best way I can relate it to another game is it has very good Dead Cells feel to it. But it's so much more crisper. The combat is great. The voice acting is some of the best I've ever heard in a game. Period. Hands freaking down. The best voice acting I've ever heard. I'll just say it, the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game because it's just they put a lot of good passion into each one of these characters, and they feel, even though that you are in the gates of hell and you're trying to get out of hell as Hades' son, you know that they care about you as the character himself. They're not your dad's kind of a dick, and he's like, you're gonna be here. I don't know why you're trying to get out. But then you've got all the other gods of Olympus like sending you gifts. You've got Achilles who's just hanging out in Hades with you in Hades and hell, and you're just like, what? Why is this going on? And it's just dungeon after dungeon, room after room, and you get to choose what do you want. Do you want health? Do you want a buff in your abilities or a buff in your weapon? And you just kind of keep on going back and forth. And the grind, which I am not a person who likes to grind in games, the grind is so damn rewarding, and it makes me want to go back. It's kind of like you and we've all talked about like how Bloodborne and like the Soulsborne games, they do a very
Yeah.
good job where they're like, hey, you're gonna get your ass beat, but you're going to enjoy the grind and you're going to feel better once you actually get to that point where you beat said boss. Supergiant has done the same damn thing. They have found that pinnacle of the grind is good and the payoff is better. And I cannot like sing praises to this game any higher than that. It is probably jumped up to top 5 favorite games, and I've put about 7, 8 hours in. I can't get past the first boss. I'm gonna be absolutely honest. She is beating the shit out of me.
Wow.
I can't get past it. Like, and it's not a difficult game, but I think there's probably more like within the combat itself and like how you actually have to approach each one of the your enemies, because the main thing I like about it is like you only get one thing, so you can have a sword, you can have kind of a weird Captain America shield, you can have a bow and arrow, and you can have one other thing, but you only get that one. So if you go in with sword, what you get through your entire run. You go with Captain America shield, that's all you get. So it's not it's learning how each one of the enemies and how the boss attacks and how you have to react and be offensive with them when it comes to your specific weapon.
So it's class based as opposed to like a game where you're going to have a toolkit.
Yes, actually, yeah, it is legitimately class based. Yeah, that is the best way to put it. It is a class based dungeon crawling masterpiece. I
And
freaking
so
love it.
because I've kind of avoided looking at any like major like gameplay or story stuff for
Mhm.
it, how are attacks being telegraphed in it? Because that's something to me that matters a lot in these kinds of games.
Uh-huh.
Is like, is it an MMO style telegraph where it puts down like a visual that shows where the attack is going to go? Or are you dealing with it like Dark Souls style where it's just learn to recognize the animation and avoid it?
A and B. It's actually a mixture of both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's insane. Like it is a mixture of both because you see how your enemies are moving, and then some of them that you actually get to see where the directional attack is, and you as the character, his son, which I can never remember his name, has the MMO version of how his attacks are going to be. Especially like if it's like a lunge attack or if you're going to throw the shield, it actually telegraphs it out so you know where it's going. But there are a couple of the enemies who have the same thing on top of uh understanding how their move pattern is. So yeah, it is a very beautiful balance of both of them, which just is absolutely impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I might have to pick it up. I
it's
didn't
worth it.
actually catch it. How much is it?
When I picked it up on the Switch, it was $20. I want to say it's 25 now.
Man,
So
yeah, that's
it's if we're talking about time, and it's a small game, I think on my Switch is like 2 or 3 gigs, and it is like I said, I don't have any complaints about it. I haven't found any complaints about it, and I've just been enjoying the hell out of it. So it's one of those things like it's worth the time if you want to put into it, and just like you and I are kind of the same where we like that dungeon crawling Dark Souls esque where we the mechanic concept of it works really well. I think you would
yeah.
actually really really like this game.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Check it out.
And
Yeah.
this is like one of those things of I appreciate being able to get games like this
Mhm.
for prices like $25.
Yeah.
But I can't help but question myself and not even question myself, but more so question companies like Supergiant of
Yeah.
like, why aren't you guys charging more?
Yeah, I actually I'm with you on that one because I picked up Transistor and Bastion on the Switch for like $2. They were both on sale, and I want to
Yeah.
say Pyre right now on like Steam. Pyre's like $3, and that's the only one that's not on the Switch. So I've got to pick that one up because I like
And
Super Giant now.
the whole thing with Supergiant is they are extremely noteworthy to the point that we actually went over Pyre in my game design classes in college.
Wow. Like, I didn't know, I'll be honest, I didn't know it
Like,
was a game until I bought the final, and I had no idea what this game was about, and I was listening to another podcast, and they're like, "It's like basketball, but it's not
yeah,
basketball, and it's got a story. It's a story-driven, like, visual novel-esque basketball thing." I'm like, "I don't know
yeah,
what that means, and I wanna play this game."
yeah. It's like, and it's weird though because like it's basketball, soccer, whatever you want to call it, but
Mhm.
it's like also weirdly class based. You have
Oh,
like one of each type of player on your team, and they
uh-huh.
serve different purposes. So you have to manage how you're moving those different pieces across the board, basically,
Okay,
and how they're going to function as a member of your team,
okay, yeah, I need to pick that up. I actually have
all in real time.
all in real time? Okay, yeah, I've
Yeah,
actually really started picking up those games, and I've been really, really liking those. Rose says in chat, "How long to beat?" says 31 hours for story plus extra. I'm guessing that's for Hades.
for Hades.
Yeah, 15 hours for story only, 78 for completionist. So yeah, you're gonna get your money's worth at $25,
Yeah,
100%, and I
and
freaking respect that.
I understand. Like, yes, there is a there's a not small chunk of work that goes into Call of Duty,
Absolutely,
but at the same time, I would much more value Call of Duty at like being a $40 game at this point,
yeah. I
being that they have it down to a system where I would say it is not a stretch to call Call of Duty mass produced.
No, I fully 100% agree with you on that one. I mean, I know they've got the 3 studios, but yeah, it's kind of asset sharing, making it look pretty, and just keep on going with all of it. So yeah, I say mass produce on that one.
Yeah, like I have not played Warzone,
Mhm.
but when we were talking about it earlier, I did check to see why Warzone in itself, because Warzone, I think alone is 100 gigs.
Yep. I downloaded it and I played a couple rounds on on my X, and I was like, "Oh, it's." I was thinking it was going to be maybe 40, 50 gigs, 100 gigs. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go make some lunch, do something, and I'll come back to it." And yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, in your opinion, as someone who's played it,
Mhm.
would you say there is a, and I quote, just a ton of content?
Personally, personally, not so much. Honestly, I'll be honest. I don't think
Okay.
so. But I'll to preface this, I am not the target audience anymore or the target demographic. I knew it was a battle royale, and I like seeing the new spins that people are putting on battle royales. I find that interesting now. To me, they've gotten to the point where they're samey. The best part, and I'll fully admit, the best part is the gulag. Like, I actually enjoyed dying and then beating the shit out of someone to get back into the game for a little
Mhm.
bit. But like, I see, and I haven't jumped into it in probably 6 8 months now. I don't even remember when I jumped into it, but it was, the map was huge, which I actually kind of really respected. But I I remember just running around for 15-ish minutes, not seeing a soul. And I'm just like, "What?" I I know there's, like, objectives in there that you can do, but that was kinda like, that this map is way too big. Like, I kinda wanna just go shooty shooty because that's a Call of Duty. But yeah, that
Yeah.
I didn't, it wasn't for me, and I played maybe 2 or 3 hours. So I do I have a good judgment on it? Probably not, but you kinda understand, like, "Alright, this is something I will like," and kinda keep on rolling with it. Not when I'm 15 minutes in the game and I haven't seen a soul, and then all of a sudden I get
Yeah.
sniped from some guy, God knows where. But yeah, getting thrown in the gulag, that was great. I was so, like, especially it's pretty much the gulag. The best way I can describe the gulag to get back in with your team, or if you're going solo, is pretty much the scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker's like, "We have a a new opportunity for someone," and he snaps that stick, but we only have one, and there's one space, and there's three guys. That's pretty much what it is, because you either bare knuckle box someone, or you both have like a pistol, or you both have a shotgun, and it is a small, cramped space. where you're trying to fight. It is a one-on-one, and something about that was actually like a lot of fun to me. So if I
So, like, that scene from The Dark Knight
yeah,
taking place in the pit
in the
from The
pit.
Dark Knight Rises?
Yes, that's pretty much what it was. And I'm like, why isn't this a game? Let's 1v1 this bad boy. I'd be in for this because it was just luck and skill real fast right there. And then you just kept on going. And then I'd actually won a lot of those, and I jumped back in and I was nowhere. I was like, where is everyone? And it's just all going all over the place. So yeah, I'm glad
I
it's
will say
there.
I can definitely appreciate that kind of stuff
Mhm,
because when Blizzard added that feature, when they added the like smaller arenas into Overwatch for like the team battles,
mhm.
uh, it gave me a way to shut people up when they would start talking shit.
Yep. That's the best part.
I still very much remember there was a dude who was just like, man, this Genji sucks. What's he doing? 1v1 me. And so we go into the 1v1 match and like he put up a fight,
Yeah.
but in the end, like, yeah, no, I'm the one that won. Like, just step back.
Mhm. Shh. You can talk all this shit you want,
um,
but you better come out with it.
yeah. But the reason I asked that question though is because, and I quote from this article, I guess this is from Tweaktown, but I remember seeing multiple articles about this.
Okay.
The reason, so Paul Hale at Infinity Ward, who was the production director for Warzone, said the reason behind the file size being so large is it's, and I quote, just a ton of content. The other justification is, and also in this case, since Warzone shares progression with Modern Warfare, every weapon and character asset from MP needs to also work in Warzone. Our pipeline isn't perfect, but even if it was, it's still a mountain of data to ship.
Okay.
So
All right.
I
All
kind of get it
right. All right.
because they're shipping Warzone and Modern Warfare,
Yeah.
but also there's definitely some inefficiencies there if a
Mhm.
lot of it is asset flipping.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inefficiencies in data management there,
Yeah.
which is what we said.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if that's the case, then okay, I'll give you the little bit of pass, but I think they can make it better. Let's see.
Yeah, because people were saying back in April that they were getting out of hand with their file sizes.
Yeah. I still can't comprehend that thought process of the 250 gigs cannot play Call of Duty. Still
Yeah.
that's gonna bother me for the next week or two. Just like I don't understand why that is a thing. Okay, I think I think we can call this a podcast. I think we went through
Yeah.
everything we needed to. Um, yes, Crash 4 About Time did come out. No, we're not going to talk about it because that is Finn's baby, and I would do it disservice and disjustice. So would Tim, so would Keith, so would Rose. So
I still haven't even finished Crash 1.
I haven't even picked up this game. I'm waiting for Finn to like freak out on me and tell me I need to pick it up. So next week we should be back to mostly normal. Finn will be back. Do you have any idea when the next Playdate podcast is coming out?
That I don't have an idea at the
Okay.
moment.
I would say probably in the next week or so, maybe two. It just depends on Finn and how that all that stuff's going. Past that, do you have anything Playhouse related you would like to share, or should we all just keep it hush hush for now?
I think we should just not speak to it for
Let's
the
not
moment.
speak to it. All right, then we will be back next week talking all games and all that fun stuff. I have been John. Tim, thank you so much for joining me today,
No problem.
and we will see everybody next week. Have a good one.
See ya.